Okay,
show.
keep going, guys.
Do we need a new topic then?
No, we don't.
I'm tired of talking about 45, 47 because.
Oh, you love it. You say he's at the end of it. It's like
alkaline. Mouth, John, is a lie.
Okay.
Everything is 2 weeks. Push them back 2 weeks. That's supposed to be in 2 weeks. I've got to figure this out in 2 weeks. It's going to be here in 2 weeks.
Wade.
Otago Orange is going to have his answer in 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, he didn't talk. He blew up Iran. But here's the thing: he first of all he said we can't trust the Pentagon and Peter Hegseth because everything gets leaked. Everyone knows everything. And then Trump says, we'll talk in 2 weeks, and boom, there's just out of nowhere he sucker punched him, and everyone's like, we didn't know about it. Oh, he should have told us. Yeah, sucker. He was so out of the loop. What happened to he's not secure? They had no idea.
Do you know what Trump Taco stands for? It's
talks a lot.
No, it's called Trump Always Chickens Out.
Worst failures in the world.
Well, Iran found out what chickening out means. He barbecued the chicken.
Trump is the worst failure in the history of the United States.
By what specifically? What did he fail?
Everything. He'll tell you in 2 weeks.
Okay, I want to tell you guys something about eggs and gas. The reason why gas is still so high in California as an oil-producing state is because Suzette said the state of California is taxing gas users for clean air, and that the reason the eggs are higher in California is because they use a lot of cage-free chickens, and it's more expensive to produce eggs, and it's about the production, not... Now, Trump himself isn't going into the agricultural market and dabbling with it, so I want to know why John thinks that he himself has fixed the egg prices.
Because it's $2.99 at the store. They've been done. They used to be $8.99, like in January, February, and everyone said, "Oh, it's going to be, he screwed up the economy." Aren't we supposed to be blown?
That was a chicken virus. The chickens had a virus.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is he fixed the problem. He said, "I'll take care." I told you on the show. I said, "In 2 or 3 months, he'll fix it."
Listen to what Jane is saying. Egg prices were there because of an egg flu, the bird flu.
Yeah, because you know what Biden did before he left office? He killed all the chickens. That's what he said, to wipe them all out. And the farmer's like, why are you wiping everything out? They wanted to screw up.
If he killed all the
economy so bad that Trump was going to look terrible.
If he killed all the chickens, Trump wouldn't have won because only chicken shits vote for him.
Well, here's the thing. Is the economy ruined? If the economy's great.
It's not that great because people can't order fireworks because China's still being charged 145% tariff.
Oh my God! They didn't even want to celebrate the fireworks because of Trump. The two cities, Cudahy and a couple others, we're not going to celebrate it because of illegal aliens. Like we're not going to celebrate our country. We're going to celebrate people who are in here illegally. Isn't that great?
Well, Canada made a concession to Trump on his tariffs. I guess Canada's not charging American tech companies for inflated tariff that they were going to impose on us. They backed off.
Yeah.
Wasn't that part of his thing was to negotiate these? Like I thought. People were worried about China's retaliatory tariffs, but weren't Trump's tariffs retaliatory toward like a lot of people were saying that China, long before Trump got involved, was making it really hard to sell anything there. They're being very protectionist, being very unfriendly to U.S. business.
All I heard is that I saw a documentary on like how they make cell phones in their factories that are already established, and it would take more than 2 months to get the business into the States, train people, and use certain elements of technology to pull it off. Like, there's just a lot of, American investors in the 80s and 90s invested so much into China that some of the businesses like Mattel just can't leave China without a lot of upheaval.
Oh, yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, but wait, he lied all the time, and he's going to tell you that he's got to deal with whoever X. And it's 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. It'll be 2 weeks from now. He's only made a deal with about 6 countries. Other than that, he hasn't fulfilled any of his. Shut the fuck up. He hasn't fulfilled any of his.
It's not that we're against Trump. It's just that we don't. It seems a lot of times he's a reactionary, and I don't like the fact that we went into Iran that suddenly. Like, Iran wasn't like flapping their wings or anything. We were supposed to have a talk with them.
But he's not a politician. He's a businessman. And so we need somebody who's both. He is not a politician. He tells you that. And people don't believe him.
I'm not necessarily against Trump, but there's certain elements of the media that said like they didn't even have time to re-examine the Iranian facilities. They don't really know how much damage is there.
They're doing that now. And they've got a couple of places that were relatively destroyed. And I believe the main one is relatively destroyed. But all the other ones, there are still housing or outbuildings that are still intact. But the main thing is that he's a loser. He's a failure because
I use objective terminology.
They went for the 400 tons of already enriched uranium, and they don't have it. They don't know where it is.
So do you fear Iran right now with their airspace, their capability, their scientists? Do you fear them?
No. They said that we should fear North Korea.
Trump humbled them. Now, I'm not saying he got everything, but I'm just saying they're not a threat. The Ayatollah called us up. The Ayatollah said, we're going to launch a missile. Here's where it's going to go, just so you can empty out everything, because they had to do a retaliatory. But they have zero right now.
When is Iran going to get credit for not... Besides... When is Iran going to get credit for not for backing down?
It'll work for. I mean, they don't have to back down. All they have to do is rebuild, stay the course. Don't make any nuclear enriched uranium, and just chill because they're in their own world.
Did you know their leader's been in charge 36 years? He's 79. He can't even walk, and he's been in hiding.
Yeah, but it's been, I mean, we were there when it happened. It was one of the worst feelings I've ever felt because it was where a democracy, Iran was a democracy. They were one of our best friends. And when that happened, it turned the world upside down because that gave a religious country, became a religious country in the middle of an area that is predominated by religious consciousness.
And back then, Iran had Western-style universities. I had an Iranian roommate in Mankato State named Shapar Nelly. She got out of there before it changed to Khomeini, and there were a lot of Iranian students that were westernized who learned in the United States.
This week, Wednesday, once a month, I clean the house of a woman whose daughter Asian organic stores in LA. She had like 29 stores. Her mom lived in Tehran during the 70s, got her kids out. She said everyone hates it there. Before it was beautiful, there was fun. They go to the beach, wear a bikini, go to a bar, do whatever you want. and they had to get out because nobody wants it. The people in Iran don't want it, but the ruling class and the military took it over. So it's a hostage situation. They want the Ayatollah gone. If he was wiped out tomorrow, they would be dancing in the streets, but they can't dance in the streets. So they don't want it, and so whatever we do to level, but the people have to do it. But like Trump said, I don't want to do a regime change. Like they got to do it on their own. So what else do you want to do?
Because if we can get rid of Khomeini, then we would have an opportunity to just monitor their enrichment program ourselves, and we wouldn't have to use our expensive bombs, expensive military. We wouldn't have to worry about loss of life. If we took out one guy and he's already said he knows where he is, we can take him out anytime.
Yep.
What would that do? It wouldn't do anything.
Did you know the youth of Iran?
Another military guy though in there.
The youth of Iran are in the middle of a revolution.
Who believes in using the military for a religious purpose? That's different.
So
could you imagine? Let Jazzy Crockett and Schumer. Oh, by the way, we're going to do a midnight run with our guys. We're going to fly, out, and we're going to go over there and drop this and that. You know what kind of risk it would do to the military? They could shoot our guys out of the sky, and everyone would say Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He's crazy. What should Trump have done this last couple months? Just let Iran
we don't have to send planes in to get rid of Khomeini. We can do that with drones. We can do that with insiders. We can do that with many various ways.
You think drones could take out those labs? They're like 200 feet underground.
We're not talking about labs. I'm talking about one man.
Okay. Why don't you guys give Wade a chance to talk?
Yeah, sounds good. Getting him removed. He's been having everybody chant death to America, and he'll destroy us any chance he can get. I don't think many people in the world would miss him.
Well, in that system, though, what you have, like it's a religious system, don't you have a second in charge? Don't you have a second and third in charge?
Yes,
not many people would miss him.
Yeah.
So by the way,
another guy in there.
Did you guys know that the youth of Iran was already in a preemptive stage of revolution well before this uranium crap came up? And they've been saying death to America since 1980. It's not nothing new.
Just recently had some protests against their own government, against Khomeini.
Mm-hmm.
They just recently, 2 or 3 months ago, started having.
But that's also what they chant in Gaza. The young kids, they run up to the reporters, they throw rocks, and they do the symbol of the slashing the throat with their finger and the pointer finger. And this isn't just because this is CNN. The reporters are like, hey, I'm here at the border. The kids are running up and they're doing the neck slash and they're throwing rocks. They're like, we got to go away from now because this is what they think of America. So when you start talking about Gaza, they hate us. They want us to. If the Ayatollah could push a button and nuke Israel and the U.S., we'd be gone without hesitation.
But guess what? What did we do to make them feel like that?
I know a lot of Americans who
just by not wearing our hijabs and not and showing porn.
John, there's a lot of Americans that hate Gaza and Iran based on things that they've been fed. They don't look at them as people. They look at them as enemies to be killed. It's no different.
They have the intifada, right? And they're chanting to.
Well, we do too.
They want to kill all the Jews.
We have people. I have a friend in Georgia. He loves Prince for some reason, but he's the most right-wing Trumpster I've ever met in my life. But we've been friends for 20 years, so I tolerate him. But the thing is that There was that song Bomb Iran where you turn Iran into a parking lot. He doesn't look at them as people who are suffering under a regime. He just looks at them as enemies to be killed.
Yeah, and that's not right either. But a lot of these conflicts, go back to like the beginning of Islam when they're like, we have a right to take over countries by force and force our belief on people. To the halls of Tripoli, the song lyrics goes back to the war we fought in Libya because they were taking U.S. before we, were barely a country. They were kidnapping U.S. sailors and putting them into slavery because they figured they can, and the government went and said, "Stop doing this." They're like, "No, we have a right. We're Muslim. We can do it."
Yeah, I think part of the Ottoman Empire wiped out. They created a stronghold of Islam, but if you go all the way back to the Bible in the 1st century and Muhammad in the 6th century, Muhammad stole the promises of Ishmael. He stole the promises of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and applied it to the bastard child of Abraham. And that's how there's such a big rift between the Jews and the Muslims, because Muhammad thought that the blessings of Abraham should go to the bastard child who was the firstborn.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's come Israel can't build Solomon's temple right now because it's on the Dome of the Rock and the Muslims control it.
Right, and they probably don't want to do it because it would create another war. That they have to figure out a way to do it.
So when people say take it, pump the brakes regarding the Islam, it's like, no, you can't. I'm not saying wipe them out. I'm just saying you got to protect yourself, because they are not going to ever philosophically. What's their obligation as a Christian? My obligation is to forgive, love, free choice. You can choose Christ or not. I'm not going to put a knife to your throat. I'm not going to intimidate you or beat you down. So you have a right to follow Muhammad. But here's the thing. Their obligation is to Sharia. Sharia must be established. That law, that righteousness. And there's only two ways to do it. One is through coercion and asking, and the other and deception, and the other is by jihad. That's it. We'll take it by force. That's a core value. That's always going to be their, when they pull out their book, that's their playbook. So you can't look at it like, well, that person's been really nice to me. What's their playbook? In the end, they're going to make Sharia law. Do you want to wear black and have to marry a man or be one of his wives, or not be able to get in a car alone with a man because of their laws? I don't think any of us.
There's another problem that I want to mention. Islam is 2.6 billion people in the world. Christians are 3.4 billion, and Jews are only 1 or 2% of the world. So throughout history, in 1 Kings and 2 Kings and other parts of the Old Testament, about 40% of the Jewish population always strayed from God. They were unfaithful for God, and big groups of Jews were wiped out by God for their unfaithfulness. But then after World War II, and after the Roman 1990 AD, they were spread out throughout the whole world. They came back to Israel. God kept his promises to the faithful Jews. The only advantage that Islam has over Judaism is the people are more united, more faithful, and their religion is more congruent. It's still a false religion in the sense that they don't recognize Jesus Christ as the ultimate savior and the shedding of blood for the propitiation of sin. But the fact is that Israel, as Wade said in the beginning, they have to recognize the power of the Islamic race because they're surrounded by Islamic people. Luckily, Jordan and Saudi Arabia do not use their religion all the time as a weapon. They use it pragmatic Western diplomacy and proper diplomacy in their avenues of dealing with other countries. So that's about all I want to say.
They learned that after they were bombing 9/11 with planes.
Right. But even still, bin Laden and his crew, a bunch of hooligans in tents, pretty much upset the whole Western world by overtaking planes of Americans on 9/11. That was the biggest military breach in world history, or U.S. history, I should say. Right?
Well, I'm wondering, Don, do you believe we're heading to Armageddon?
I believe that we're already. I mean, there is like death. There is an ultimate end, and you just have to figure out what you want to call it. You know, the Armageddon for a lot of people, the beginning. I mean, started with. I mean, it started with Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, that was the start of Armageddon. But
I mean, if you study, biblical prophecies, the prophets said Israel will get a Messiah. Isaiah talks about that. They'll reject their Messiah. They will kill the Messiah. They will get scattered. That happened. They'll get regrouped at the end of time. That's happened. Babylon will rise and try to oppress them. Babylon will get destroyed temporarily. That's kind of what's happening now. Iraq, Iran, right? That's Babylon is getting wiped out. And then a peacemaker will arise. Maybe it's Trump, I don't know, but so get everyone to agree in that area, right? The first thing Trump went to is Saudi Arabia, like, oh, let's shake hands, because they had BRICS going on. And Trump is like, no, let's
be a peacemaker when you bomb the motherfucker. That's what you don't get, John.
Well, you have to shut down. If someone's trying to kill you, you have to knock the gun out of their hand, pin them down, and then say, okay, you want to be peaceful?
But you don't.
I mean, it depends.
Just like James said, you don't do it just abruptly without even talking to people. He didn't even talk to people.
Oh, wait, now here's where you miss that. Trump said...
He took Netanyahu's word for it.
Didn't he say 2 months ago, you've got 60 days, Iran. He told them up front. He wasn't just on. He said, you will never have nuclear arms. He said,
he is calling the shots. IDF is calling the shots.
And we don't mind the shot. We don't want that.
He's going to bring us into a war that he officially called a war that's illegal because the Congress is the only one who can declare war. Then there's sick, John. That's a war.
Oh, well, first of all, your name calling. I'm not the one that's sick. I'm not the one blowing up.
The war.
I'm not the one.
It's a 12-day war.
Yeah, and you know what a real war is? You send troops over, you send tanks, you spend years, arms. No, he just like fly over there, boom, boom, boom. You have to do a strike.
He called it a war. It's a war.
They wanted to put a nice little tag on. You know it wasn't a war.
He called it a war. Sergeant Orange called it a war.
It's not a war. It was a strike. You know how come? Because did Clinton declare war? Did Obama declare war? No, they did strikes.
No, they were against the law too.
And they did, yeah. They didn't get Congress support. Does anyone care? Nobody cares. It's only because of Trump.
That's wrong. That's where the American people are stupid.
Well, there you go. I told you Obama.
They're not even aware of their laws and their rights.
I want Obama treatment for my Trumpy.
You're getting it. Because in all essence, Obama at least didn't destroy shit. He just didn't do a whole lot. This man is destroying the whole. I mean, his bill can't pass because these folks are his own base is made up of Medicare and Medicaid higher base. You're the only one who's down. Are you on Medicaid?
I have Medicare or something, whatever. Yeah, I have some kind of something. I don't use it, but I got it. Yeah.
Well, bottom line is that that's his base. Those are the people that need Medicare, Medicaid the most are his base. The under 25 white males without a college degree. That's his base, and they're going to be hit hard by not having Medicare and Medicaid themselves and their family members. And that's the reason the main reason this whole damn bill is being held up.
Well, do you want free health care for everyone?
Well, the senator from North Carolina is going to vote against it.
In essence, we've got it. Well, Kentucky, too. All of their Tillis, Rand Paul, all of them are against it. They're having problems with the Republicans because they're seeing how stupid they look. Because they don't like this bill one bit. There are about 35 Republicans who are having problems with this bill in one form or another. And Trump needs this bill because if everything falls into place, that's what he has all these tax cuts, and they're going to be reimbursing his friends, the rich, the billionaires. They're going to get, I think, 23% of everything taxed back, and the persons under $76,000, $73,000 or $76,000 are going to be paying a net zero or maybe a negative with these when you factor in the tariffs that's cost goods from the tariffs. That's a ridiculous return for the people who are behind this goofball.
I want to say something, Don.
What?
My friend Grandma D, she's 75 years old. Because Trump, see, John, it's not just the poor mothers on welfare who are losing Medicare. People are losing, over 65 are losing important elements of their program. A lady friend I know now has to pay $400 every 2 months for a shot in her eye that used to only cost $40. And she only gets like $1,200 a month from Social Security. So now she has to mow the lawn on a riding mower at age 75 for her relatives to make up the money.
True. But, 40 years ago, were people getting shots in the eye? Like, are they getting a lot of the treatments we're expecting? I need full cancer, treatment. Well, maybe at 75, you need to die.
Well, Jesus. She that's the only problem she has, and she wouldn't be able to see without the shots.
Hey, I agree, but I'm saying, am I entitled? Is that my right? I have to have.
Yes.
Really?
When you've worked in society for 50 years and you pay in Social Security and you're supposed to have Medicare that you still have to pay for, it's still $250 a month or more. Why can't she have the shots?
What I'm saying, in the Declaration of Independence, in our Constitution, does it say John Yoder has a right to full balloonplasty for my heart, lungs, redo my venal structure, get implants, hair grafts? Am I supposed to have a perfect life? No. It's like, if I want that stuff, I'm going to have to pay for it. Or some
if John Yoder goes blind reading fake
some
news,
people are going to get screwed.
What if John Yoder goes blind reading fake news?
Then you know what? It's my time to stop. I've had a good 66 years. I have a different philosophy towards stuff, and that is, like, I'm not entitled. When the Pilgrims came here, do you think, and they're crossing, establishing, do you think that someone gave them dental and health care, and that when a bear attacked you, that you went to the hospital and the government was going to take care of it? No, you winged it. you're rough. That's American spirit. It's like you overcome the obstacle. And if we can give free health care for everyone, great. But you know, we can't afford $1 million every person, can we?
I think the world's changed.
You want treatments. Think of this: you're in the last 5% of your life, and you want $1 million or $500,000, and I mean, you go in the hospital, right? And they hook you up, and you stay in the bed for 6 months. You're going to rack up $200,000 or $300,000, $400,000 or $500,000 bill. Wouldn't you rather give $100,000 to a kid going to college? And even then, you know, we're throwing money into education they don't use, and we're throwing money into health care for people. You know what they should start eating healthy.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question for you. The world has been restructured since, like, the Germans came over and farmed potatoes. Like, Minnesota has a safety net, and so does California, that if you're below a certain poverty line, you get free Medicare and Medicaid, or at least cheaper. Like, you can still buy into the Obamacare if you make like 40 to 60,000. But the point is that the world's changed structurally a lot in the last 30 years. It's not even like it was in 1985. And I do think my friend Grandma D, she doesn't have cancer. She eats okay. She can still walk. She mows the lawn. She gardens and she babysits. Like, she shouldn't be punished.
Well, I agree. However, I have Helen's kids in Nairobi. Jay has Mubashir in Pakistan. They work all day for $1 a day. Kids are left at garbage cans, you know, because their parents don't want them, or they're orphans. The world's unfair, and then we complain, oh, USAID, we're not sending money over there. You know, these are kids starving in the streets. Like, it's a dark world, and we want everyone to, again, every kid needs to get, you know, $200,000 to go to college. Every person over 65 needs to have $200,000 to $300,000 of medical. Right? If you go to the hospital, that's your right. In the last 5% of your year, you're only making 10, 15, you know, 20,000 a year. So the rest of the last 10 years, you're going to make $200,000. But you want us to spend $200,000 or $300,000 on medical care for someone who's going to die. I'm just saying.
Okay, may I say something? Because Wade and Don are fading. The thing is that we're only going to do the show 10 more minutes because I'm publishing my book at midnight. But my third book, it's called Falling Off the Limb. It's about Catholic monasticism and child estrangement. But anyways.
Jesus Christ. You should talk to Pat.
Okay, well, I talked to Thomas Merton, God, and Thomas Aquinas. Okay, basically what I'm saying is that, John, we understand your point that there's no guarantees in the world, but I came from a state where there were guarantees. I didn't come from like Georgia or Missouri or like Nebraska. Like, I don't expect guarantees, but if I'm paying into the system, in which I made over $15,000 too much last year, and now my Social Security has been removed from me, I do expect something.
Right. So if we have 20 trillion to deal with in our GPD, but we're 35 trillion, almost 40 trillion in debt. So we don't have the money, right? So what do you?
Well, then why is Trump creating a $3 trillion excess budget?
What I'm saying is, if we're trillions in debt and we don't have the money, how can we give more money to do these things?
I do think that children in Africa who have parents that died of AIDS should be able to get medicine. That's their only hope.
But it's not our responsibility. It's the responsibility of those.
It depends on who you talk to. The USAID program was earmarked for the last 40 to 60 years. Why end it now?
Because, like Elon said, all the codes, they had no codes for the payments. They just like said, here's $100,000. What's the designation? Is it for food? Is it for medicine? No, it goes to Joe Schmeck. And they called, and you know what Elon did? He would call these people and go, send me at least a picture of what you're doing with it. Like, you know, send me a picture of a teddy bear or food or whatever your thing is, and they won't even respond. And those are the companies. He's like, okay, we're going to cut that. You didn't respond.
Okay, so I'm going to let you wait and Don. I have to run to my car. You guys can do your long-winded conclusions. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Long-winded, yeah. All right.
Go for it, Wade. I'm the only one winding, so go ahead.
Winding. All right, I get to wind a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of things I guess we're talking about. I am concerned about some of the anti-Semitism going on. I was talking to some Jewish friends this weekend and giving support. The radical left is giving the Democrat Party a pretty bad reputation. So I think they need to call them out. I would have a question. I could leave this, maybe people can address it in their finishing talks. But, there's debate about whether Doge is going too far or maybe it's too radical. But, I'd like to hear what the Democrat version of that would be. Is there any talk among Democrats about cutting wasteful spending and government abuse? I think that's keep it short.
The answer is no. There's no such thing as a Democrat equaling tax cuts. The way that the world works, or the American government works, is that they're given money, and that the entity department has to spend that money, and then they can perpetually each year or 2 years
use it up, same budget. You're right.
And get other appropriations. So,
and even if they don't need the money, spend it, or you're going to lose that allocation.
So that's the way government works. And when you take heroin away from a heroin addict, just cold turkey or anything else, even tobacco, you can die. And that's exactly what has happened. Is that he's taken all these things away, and some of these programs are dying. But it's not always a good thing because everything is interconnected, and all these programs have other programs that work with them. And if you pick one out, another one's affected, and that's what's going to be happening. That's what's happening slowly but surely. Bus industry, you can see that it's non-governmental, but it is the auto industry. They're slowly seeing prices going up, and that's because these tariffs are hitting them and farmers harder than any other industry because of where their parts and supplies come from, and their ownership. So these are things that we have to worry about, because these car manufacturers are, predominantly owned by Canada, Germany, Japan. So, we got to be very careful what we do with our tariffs because of them, and they're going to, Canada is going to, they're going to do us double our, into it.
That'd be very interesting. But, with Elon, the stuff he was doing works great if you got your own company and you look at it and you say, I'm going to cut half the staff, or I'm going to cut 70%, and I know I can wing it, right? I can go extreme. And that's fine in your own small company. But the problem when you get to the whole country, you go, okay, I'm going to slash, 50% of the people, or 20%, all the old people, they got to go. Well, it doesn't work when you try to get elections and you get the political process. They're sheep. You can only trim so much. So I think what Trump did is a strategy. I'm going to have Elon come in and just, whale away at all the stuff that, like, U.S. to Africa, does it really affect us? It's American. So does it hurt some people? Yeah, but that's not our problem. Same thing with the Middle East. It's not really our problem. Or Mexico, that's not our problem. But now he's getting into, like, the military budget and the Medicare and all that stuff. Well, now, and Social Security, those are areas where if you go crazy with it, you're going to lose elections, and most people can't hang with it. So, and that's when he pulled Elon, and Elon's going crazy because he wants to keep slashing everything. He can only use the robot for so much. So it'll be interesting, the transition. He's got to kickstart the economy. He's got to spend more money and increase the debt a bit to keep the ball rolling and try to boom the economy. It's a strategy. It's a gamble. It's a roll of the dice. He's betting that American ingenuity and getting AI and tech and all that stuff in America and the chips made over here and things like that'll spark us to the tariff, by forcing people to come over here to avoid the tariff. So it's a gamble, but he thinks it'll work. It wasn't working the way before.
Yeah, good luck. No, it wasn't working the way it before because everybody had their hand in the pot, and now they got different pots and different hands, but it's the same damn pot. And it's the same damn cycle, situation. These people are greedy. This is a new swamp. He's trying to drain the old swamp so that he can put water in the new swamp.
You're always going to have Bezos and Zuckerberg and those people.
Do you think it's legal for him to actually begin a currency? It's not called a currency per se, but money is run by the government. I don't think the president should be going out and making his own currency.
I would go with you on that, but you got Nancy Pelosi. They tracked her this last year.
Wait, stop. What did you just say?
Pelosi's stock investments, she made 50%. Just that I don't think that he should be invested in anything he's got a political hand in.
Really? John, did you record this? Damn it.
I don't mind. I don't mind, but on the other hand, it's like it also means he's going to make sure it succeeds. I can track his. Where does Trump enter? Just invest in that. He's going to make sure it helps.
Except for his real estate, he hasn't succeeded in almost anything.
Well, we should follow Nancy, but she doesn't telegraph all her moves. So they tracked her, and she made 50% on the stock market. She was like killing all the experts. She's a genius somehow.
That was from that she was getting pre-information. She was getting
insider information.
Insider information. Yeah.
No way. She would never do that.
Yeah, not that. And she had to relinquish her purchases, or she had to give back her sale or her money. And she was found to have done that, and she had to return that. I think it was $4 million or something like $5 million, something like that. Here's something
that will probably get our show blacklisted and off the air. And Jane will find out.
Give me a warning before you talk.
Okay, no. I had a dream. This is true. A week ago. And in the dream, I don't know if I was watching it on TV, but it seemed like I was there in person. Trump got out of the beast, that they drive in, and he had like 4 of his Secret Service with him. They're walking ahead of him. I hear shots ring out. 3 of his like Secret Service guys drop to the ground. I'm like, oh my God. And then he takes 2 steps, and then he gets shot, and he flies in the air, and he falls forward. I'm like, they're just wiping out the whole, like whatever they want to do, they can wipe out anyone. And I woke up just shook, like just like with JFK. It doesn't matter whether you like Trump or not. Just if Biden or any leader just got wiped out, like cartel style, Mexico style, and the takeaway I got from it is that anyone that they want to whack at any time, and they almost did that, in Pennsylvania. They let it happen.
I muted the story.
Just like that. It happened. Great.
I
He would get up wise because the beast will have a fatal
May I
wound
tell
and he'll
you
come
a
back to
secret?
life, so,
May I tell you a secret? I muted the last 30 seconds, but do you know some people think Trump is the beast?
Yeah, they thought Obama was too.
Thing, Ivanka Trump did while she was alive, and
Are you talking about Ivana Trump, the wife?
Ivana, yeah.
I think though the Antichrist, because it's gonna be counter-Christ, so it's not gonna be even Jewish. I think it'll be like Palestinian, not Palestinian, but it'll be like Muslim. And I think he'll unite that whole thing because he'll have the Dome of the Rock. He can get the Jews to shake hands, and he'll go like, "We finally have peace. Islam is the religion of peace." Most people say he's going to come out of Syria or Damascus. So I don't know. I haven't studied that one out, but so I don't think he'll be. I think he's too old to be the beast. I think he's got to be younger.
Do you want to know why Trump doesn't qualify? Because he's not charming.
He loves Jews.
Yeah, but you have to be charming to be the beast.
He only loves Jews because he has a son-in-law.
Half the world loves him, half the world hates him, though.
It can't stand him.
I thought.
Who's president? You say that no one likes him. Who's president?
I'm just saying that I thought someone like Tony Blair back in the day should be the beast because they said that he's someone that is influential, that he can mesmerize people. Like, they have the gift of gab and they're stunning. And I haven't really seen a world leader that great like that.
There's one coming.
Jane Hoffman for school board.
You think that Trump is fulfilling Bible prophecy the way he set up Israel with Jerusalem as the capital?
I think that he's perpetuating Armageddon. Iran is one country that you really shouldn't go after unless, because even as bad as people talk about them, they never, on an international diplomacy level, they will meet with people. So I just think it was a bad decision.
Well, every Arab country is keeping out of it. Like, they're happy. Saudi Arabia and these other countries are like, oh man, Iran is such a problem. It's like they're going to screw everything up. So if people like in Iran or India, they just want to shake hands, make money, and live Western ideas on the side. Have their strip clubs in the corner, drive the really rich cars, but still keep the whole Muslim purity kind of concept. So I think the Arab world. I mean, they pulled out horses for them everywhere. The Emirates, Saudi Arabia, they had like white horses. They had soldiers. They had sword dancing, belly dancers. They love Trump.
I think one thing is I just put a map up of Iran. They beat Afghanistan and Pakistan. I think they should watch their step because Azerbaijan has been a contest between Russian and Iranians for years to the north. Iraq is still regrouping. Saudi Arabia is right across the bay from them. And Pakistan borders them, and they're a flare-up country too, and they've had problems with India. So I think Iran needs to focus on themselves.
They've been at it forever. Didn't you hear what Trump said? They've been fighting for so long that neither side knows what the fuck they're doing. Didn't you hear that, Jane?
They could change their name from Iran to I Crawl. How about
You know what? I think in their own mind they think they know what they're doing.
No, they don't. It's all religious. Nobody knows what's going on when it comes to religious.
Well, the problem is they're religious religious zealots, so they believe
they don't have
that whatever God tells them to do, that He's going to take care of it. That's what Saddam is. Like, he thinks he's the leader of Babylon. He's King Nebuchadnezzar. And if they start a war, God will protect him for the last 2,000 years. They're going to win in the end. That's what they do.
Saddam Hussein was supposed to be the reenactment of King Nebuchadnezzar.
He had it written on the bricks on his walls. King Nebuchadnezzar II. That's a coming. He didn't hesitate. You know, like Bush is coming. The great. What do they call it? Here's
Iraq is where the Tigris and Euphrates rivers are, not Iran. Everyone
in the Arab world calls America the Great Satan, especially Iran. We're the Great Satan. What does that tell you? You know, if I tell you you are evil personified, can I trust you ever? No. You can't trust someone who calls us the Great Satan. And in their culture, we are.
We're a mixed bag of evil and good.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, everyone say a final word and then say goodbye.
I miss Wade.
A final word, goodbye.
I'm going to say thanks for listening, Albert, on the first show. And I wonder what happened to Ben. And I love Jesus and all my former radio hosts.
What, Ben was supposed to be on? Because you kept talking about Bianchi.
No, Ben is lost in cyberspace. I sent him an email about 3 months ago.
Okay.
He's lost in cyberspace.
That's fine. He's not alone.
Okay, well, thanks for joining, everybody.
Alrighty.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, John. Bye, Wade.
Listen to Wade's show on the Modern Davidian.
Oh, yes, please do, yeah. Jane is moving to New York City, too.
So I can get government issued cheese.
You can be a socialist there.
Yep, I'm gonna run a Norwegian style government.
Oh boy.
All right. Until the very end.
Peace, love, and Bobby Sherman, who died last week.
Poor Bobby.
Is your restaurant going to have condiments and condoms at the same?
No, because I
Why
believe in celibacy.
Oh my goodness!
You're the biggest liar in the freaking world.
Don't swear. Bye. Bye.